Dude, look at this drunk's thumb, identical to the photo. He flew Connor yesterday and now delivering to a fishing boat. Believe the thrill? He enthusiastically invites Walter to join him, then straightens up and downs a whole cup of boot beer in one go. What a champ. Then he leans on the table, stands up, and discusses nice guy techniques with the tug outside. Hilarious. Looking at us on the screen, who isn't a nice guy in life? Walter sighed, not wanting to face such fate at a young age. As he hesitated, the goddess reappeared in his mind, and though the drunk's helicopter was terrifying, what was even worse was timid for 42 years. Walter saw the drunk had no intention of going home and thought, if he never wanted to, that'd be huge news. Suddenly, angry and excited, Walter jumped into the cockpit, gripping the seat, gazing at the majestic sky. The sun broke through the clouds, like Walter breaking free, and the helicopter soon hovered above the boat. Walter curiously inquired about the landing technique. Unexpectedly, the drunk told him to jump at the right moment. Walter was baffled, but with the drunk's encouragement, fortunately, Walter floated up via the beast briefcase, tugged by a fish-fin creature. At this moment, the captain shouted through a megaphone it was a dolphin and it would protect him from sharks. Walter believed him. Walter used the briefcase to fend off the dolphin. Luckily, the rescue boat arrived just in time. What a twist. He never imagined his first adventure would be so thrilling. What a ride. Unfortunately, Connor had already disembarked for Iceland, heading towards a volcano in Iceland for shooting, which just so happened to be where the fish. So, Walter got off the boat and miraculously snagged the island's only transportation. He raced along the deserted Icelandic road, feeling the boundless freedom of the world. The road crawled like a dragon into the unknown, so exhilarating. For a moment, he couldn't distinguish dream from reality, staring at the sky as birds transformed into the goddess smile, making him yearn to merge with it. But next, he slammed into a roadside sign, crunching his bike. Walter sprinted to a service area where boys skateboarded. The thought design on it caught his eye, reminding him that the goddess son also loved this stuff. So Walter came up with the bright idea to trade his sister's gift. What a fun swap. Look at that chubby kid playing. Walter successfully snagged a skateboard and was as excited as a kid. Then he dashed to the cliff, saw the winding road below, and got an adventurous idea. He picked up stones and cloth to make protective gear. The winding downhill road turned into Walter's playground, soaring skyward. He flies freely with arms wide, merging with Iceland's beauty, bending down slopes, crouching through turns, joyfully like a bird. It was his childhood love for freedom that allowed him to gallop without a care today, and all the worldly noise faded away at this moment, with a cool breeze blowing up. For a moment, Walter felt like he was back in his youth, but when he arrived at the graveyard town, it was utterly deserted. A blaring alarm erupted from the speakers, and while Walter looked bewildered, a passerby informed him that the volcano was about to blow. A plane flew overhead with a photographer named Sean on board. Turns out, those jaw-dropping photos were taken like this, but Walter had no time. He hopped in a passerby's car, raced the erupting volcano, engulfed by smoke quickly. Thankfully, they escaped, but Walter sat defeated, not realizing this trip wiped out most of his savings. With no sign of Connor, he resorted to calling the goddess to share his wild experiences, and as he talked, Walter recalled the time his dad always encouraged him to skateboard, but when he was 17, his dad tragically passed away, taking away everything he once loved. After all these years, he was finally opening up, and the goddess listened attentively, but she was facing a big problem. The company had begun massive layoffs, yet Walter realized he was completely indifferent to that now. He wanted to tell the goddess that he had brought her son a gift, but he could never say it. When he rushed back to the office, that annoying manager came asking for photos, and when Walter couldn't produce them, it was evident that no one paid attention to his efforts. And then, in the very next second, Walter learned that the goddess had also been fired, so he mustered his courage to knock on her door, only to have it opened by Walter's hope shattered in an instant, leaving the skateboard at her door as he walked away dejectedly. Despite the heart-thumping Nordic adventure, reality was still a mess of feathers. In anger, Walter tossed Connor's wallet into the trash, staring at the remaining photos as if they were mocking him, but suddenly, something caught his eye. He realized the photo was of his mom's piano, chip included. Connor visited a week ago and talked with her about him. Plus, his mom told him, but Walter was lost in his daydream and didn't hear it. And his mom mentioned that Connor planned to shoot snow leopards, but Walter felt nothing. His heart was completely still. He hoped to finish his work. Yes, they had worked together for a full 16 years, and it was only right to wrap this up properly. So Walter began to pack his bags. Interestingly, all the gear he needed for this trip was stuff he bought 20 years ago. What a procrastinator. Now he was finally going to see the world, using his childhood travel notes to track his adult adventures, past waterfalls on cliffs and receiving blessings to adapt to high altitudes. Walter trained hard on cliffs with guides, eating leaves and drinking snowmelt, a real explorer. In short, happiness in nature can be that simple. After traipsing through pure white landscapes, they reached an altitude of 18,000. Walter's senses were flitting like snowflakes. The higher they climbed, the more dangerous it got, and the two guides could only show him the final direction. Walter had to traverse the mountain ridge alone, moving through Himalayan paths, the red climbing strap symbolizing his vibrant life, found in this boundless expanse.